Welcome to another inspiring episode of Grit, Grace, and Growth. I'm your host, Laura Navaquin, and today we are diving into the world of Manhattan real estate with Diane Osgerchian. Diane is the co-founder of Blast Marketing, which is a digital marketing agency that supports the growth of small to medium-sized businesses. She is also the seasoned real estate investor who has successfully doubled, even tripled her investment on multiple residential properties in Manhattan, New York. Living in Greenwich Village, Diana is a strong advocate for local businesses and community development. With her extensive background in digital advertising and marketing, she's here to share her journey, insights, and strategies. Let's welcome her to the show. All right. Welcome, Diana, to this episode of Grit, Grace, and Growth. I am so excited to have you today. I have so many great things to talk to you about.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being on.
Thank you. All right, guys. As I've shared with you moments ago, Diane is a wealth of knowledge and has so much to share with you in regards from real estate investing in Manhattan, New York to marketing. So let's just dive in. All right, Diane, can you share with us how you got started in real estate investing, specifically in Manhattan?
Okay. Well, basically, I grew up in Westchester, and in my 20s, I was interested in real estate. So I got my real estate license. I was working full time, regular, 9 to 5 job. And I was always kind of like interested in it. So I took the real estate course. I got my license and I started doing it part time. And I just kind of like was, learning about buying, selling, leasing, renting, whatever, all residential. And I kind of was like, oh, I could buy a property and not live in it and be, have it as an investment, because people were doing that, all like around me, whatever. And I wasn't making much money at the time, but I did have some money to invest. And I bought my first condo in Westchester in Bedford Hills. And I put the money down and I bought my first, like I said, I bought my first property and it was an investment. I never lived in it. And I sold it, 15 years later. And that's when I started investing in real estate in Manhattan. So that journey started, I worked at a company called DoubleClick. And I was one of the, early employees there. It was the internet boom in like the late 90s when the internet was just starting out. So I could say I was, kind of pioneering that digital advertising, sales, marketing. And the company was a startup and they gave a stock option. So basically I was living in a studio apartment in Manhattan on Grammar Street. And I was buying the stock, every quarter we could buy some, whatnot. And it was sitting there and I said, oh, wow, I could sell this stock and buy a big, nice apartment, and the money was there. So I really kind of started to do it well because I knew real estate was, of course, there's nothing wrong with Manhattan real estate. I mean, it always goes up, obviously. It's a really great investment. But I just really wanted a great place to live. So I'm like, why don't I take the money that I have? I sold the other place in Westchester and I bought my first apartment. In Manhattan. And then I had some more money. I sold some more stock. I was working, full time at the time at the company at DoubleClick and had some more money to invest. And I said, oh, let me buy another property and have it as an investment. Actually, it was a building on the same floor I was a condo as I was living. So then that was my second purchase. And then I lived in the one bedroom for about 10 years, had the studio, was renting that out. And then I always wanted to live in Greenwich Village. I was in Murray Hill at the time, and I always wanted to live in Greenwich Village, downtown. I like, the downtown vibe better. Murray Hill's very nice, and I loved living there. And I was still working at the time, not at DoubleClick. This is about maybe 10 years later. And I said, oh, I had the money, and I said, okay, I can invest in another property and live in it. And I kept the one bedroom. So I rented out the one bedroom, the studio, and the one I live in the village, I own and live in it. So it kind of like was like steps.
Yes.
And I never, you really have to do your research and know the areas you're buying in and, how much can you rent it for? what's the maintenance charge, what's your mortgage going to be, what are the taxes. So I really had to do my research. I mean, I did everything myself. No one was telling me what to do. No one was saying you should do this, you should do that. I mean, some people were telling me not to do it, like, oh, why are you selling your stock? It's going to go higher. It's the internet boom. And I'm like, no, I said, A, it's high enough. And B, I want a nice place to live. And C, it's never a bad thing to invest in Manhattan real estate. It always
Yes.
goes up. I mean, it's
Exactly.
so that's kind of what, that's how my thought process was. And I wasn't afraid to do it. I didn't listen to people. I listened to myself, and whatever the consequences are, good or bad, it's my decision. I'm not going to say, oh, well, you told me this and that. No, everything was my decision. And I felt it in my gut that it was a good thing to do, since I, knew about real estate and I was pretty, versed in it. Of course, I have to do more research to, buy these properties, but I did all my due diligence, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, similarly to ourselves, we're building a real estate portfolio, not in Manhattan, outside. So Hudson Valley, we've lived in Manhattan Battery Park for just over 10 years. We have since moved out. So now we have a personal property up in Hudson Valley, and then also in Florida, where we split the year between the two.
Where in Hudson Valley?
Pine Bush area.
Okay, I was just up in Woodstock this weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Woodstock is we frequent Woodstock, just great eateries out there as well. Although one of our favorites had actually closed.
My boyfriend's sister lives in Rhinebeck, and we went to visit her on the way home. I mean, it's beautiful up there.
It's so pretty. Yeah, and that's, we were in Battery Park and we knew that we wanted to start growing our real estate portfolio, but Manhattan was just out of our budget, essentially. So we bought our first property up in Hudson Valley, and have since then gotten a few other properties up in, Hudson Valley, upstate New York, and then Florida and other states as well now.
Yep.
But our goal is ultimately to get into Manhattan as well. And we've started looking, but it's just it's a beast of its own. It's so different in Manhattan. But as you mentioned, it's a great, real estate in general is a great investment. But in Manhattan, your property is going to go up significantly throughout the years of holding it. And as you mentioned as well, of course, with any real estate purchase, I would say, definitely do your research and do your homework there. But then again, there's other things to take into consideration in Manhattan or New York City specifically, even like land fees. That was something new to us. With certain areas that have the land fees. I'm like, what? I have to pay a land fee on top of an HOA and on top of the mortgage and everything else. So nothing's cheap in Manhattan as well. So we're like, that'll still be a goal of ours, but it'll sit on the back burner for a little while longer. But that's great. I love that. And Greenwich is such a beautiful little neighborhood, a beautiful neighborhood. Great. I love it. So that's great. And then I had a question for you in regards to getting the properties that you purchased. Were they move-in ready, or did you have to do any renovations or anything when you were renting them out as well? So did you have to put in to do renovation projects or, whatever it may be, or were they move-in ready?
Well, the first condo I purchased in Bedford Hills, that was just move-in ready. And then I just started renting it out. I never lived in it. But the one bedroom in Manhattan in Murray Hill, I was going to live in it, and I did kitchen renovation, a bathroom renovation, the floors, painting. So I did do some renovation because I was going to live there.
Yeah. Okay.
So my sister's an interior designer, so she really helped me to pick out colors and sinks and floors and you name it. So I did do some work. And of course, when you do work, the value is higher as well if you want to. And then that property I started renting out. So it was moving ready for anyone that was going to, like a renter, some people that rent, they are like, oh, this is old, or, it's old and I don't want to live here. But everything was fairly new and more modern. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And then overall in your investment experience, have you had any challenges that you have learned from that you would be able to share with us?
Well, I would have to say all of my tenants, I've had no problem with them.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
All of them. One woman was in the studio for 10 years. She just moved.
And,
if I have a good tenant, they're good to me, I'm good to them. So I'm not like raising the rent crazy, like crazy. It's
Hmm.
reasonable
Yeah.
because it's nice to have great tenants and have no problems because, some of the problems you hear are very scary.
Hmm.
And, you want good tenants in there. And every time, a tenant turns over, I have a great real estate broker. She does all the background checks and, I've, knock on wood, haven't had any problems with anyone in the
Hmm.
studio or the one bedroom.
Yeah,
And
that's
I've been
great.
doing this since, let's see, mid 2000s,
Hmm. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
renting
definitely
it.
very lucky there with not having, any issues. And I hope that that luck stays the same for yourself because I know it's a challenge sometimes to find good tenants and using,
Yeah.
and I know through New York, you can use real estate agents as well to rent out your apartment. So is that who do you use a real estate agent or do you use um, agency, uh,
I use a
management agency?
one
One
person
person.
broker,
Okay.
yeah. She lives in the building where my apartments are. So
Okay. Yeah.
she does all my renting for me because she lives literally in the building.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
That's
which is
great.
convenient for her, convenient for me, me, obviously, it's easy. And she knows
Hmm.
the building inside and out. She lives there. So that's a big plus. And as far as like repairs and things like that, like whatever happens, I'm right on it. Like
Hmm.
the microwave broke in one of the apartments or, wasn't working. I just bought a new one,
Hmm.
sent it over
Yes.
like that week. We, had it
Hmm.
delivered that week. If things happen, whatever things break, I get the maintenance people to fix it. And a lot of times they just get
Hmm.
the building people to fix small things. It's not like it's a house.
Hmm.
Like I'm not the type of person that would invest in a house because I just cannot deal with all that. The roof, the plumbing, the blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
No way. As long as, sorry, and no offense, but I hope you're
No,
okay with
no, no
that.
worries. It's definitely been a learning lesson for us, and every time my husband and I keep joking, we're like, is the universe or God or someone, whoever is above us trying to send us a sign about water related to water because we keep having plumbing and water related issues
Yeah,
in multiple properties. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why is water keep coming back into our lives?
yeah, it's
So,
crazy. I mean, basically, like I said, whatever repairs have to be done, they usually call the super, the building manager
mhm,
and whatnot. But if it's something that I have to do, I'm definitely right on it. And the thing is, for real estate investing, you have to make sure your rent will cover all your costs,
mhm,
and
yeah,
it's nice, it's great if you make money as well.
mhm,
Like if you're renting it at a loss, that's not good. Like
yeah,
if one of these days it starts renting at a loss, I might consider selling it because
yeah,
it's an investment. It's not like I'm living there.
mhm,
So basically, I mean, we have assessments on the building. It adds to our maintenance. They need a new roof. They need a new elevator.
mhm,
They need new, windows, whatever. Like that, each landlord pays, owner of the apartment pays that.
yeah,
So that's been, happening, and then maintenance goes up
mhm,
every year. So, I do have to raise my rents a little bit every year to cover some of those costs. It's not
mhm.
astronomical, but I'm responsible to pay that. And so far, so good. I'm still in the positive cash flow of the
Mhm.
apartment, so that's positive.
Yeah. And I think that that's such a vital point that you make as well. We have a community of students where we mentor and teach on getting started investing in real estate, not necessarily in Manhattan, but in other markets of the
Yep, yep.
country. And that's one of the things that we always share with them. Like, of course, it's great to start your investing journey by getting a property, but not necessarily any property. Run the numbers. We have template spreadsheets that we share with them. Run the numbers within that because you need to make sure that
Yep.
what rents are going for in the area as well and
Mhm.
what you can rent that property for. It has to cover your mortgage, insurance, HOA if you have an HOA,
Taxes, hello,
taxes. There's
taxes.
so many other cotton taxes, always taxes. And then also working in some cash flow there, whether you're actually taking it home and pocketing that or even just saving a little bit. And it's always good to save a little bit on the side and have that for emergencies like increase in taxes, HOA fees, you have a leak or
That's
whatever it may be
right.
to cover some of those costs so they're not astronomically hitting your pockets because you never want to be running in a negative there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great information. All right, guys. So let's change lanes here because
Yep.
I know that you're the co-founder of Blast Marketing Agency, and I wanted to dive into some questions there. First and foremost, how did you get started in marketing? Because I know that you were with the .com, so you're with a previous employer prior to, and how did you get into entrepreneurship and marketing specifically?
Well, I have a degree. My degree is a BBA in marketing and advertising. I'm
Okay.
actually doing what I studied in college, kind of,
Okay.
which is kind of unusual because you always hear like other people have degrees in like psychology and they're like, in finance, like you just never know.
Yes.
But I'm actually, my degree is marketing, so I'm doing
Okay.
this thing. So yeah, it's sales and marketing in digital.
Uh-huh.
I started in it like when the internet was beginning, like I told you before.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for a company, like I worked for DoubleClick, which is a startup. And
Mm-hmm.
it was, a network. I was selling a network of websites, about 100 websites. And I never
Mm-hmm.
sold any previous, like print or TV or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just started in digital and learned
Mm-hmm.
all of that on
Oh.
the job pretty much because there wasn't any, there was, and when I was in college, there was no internet. So
Mm-hmm.
while it was coming about, I was learning on the job,
Yeah.
and I had experience before that. I worked for another startup that kind of got me started before I went to DoubleClick. So I was doing
Mm-hmm.
it for a few years, like in the like early mid 90s at another company that I learned basically how to, sell digital advertising ads on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took that skill and went to DoubleClick as a startup. And
Mm-hmm.
from there, my career just, because it was like the late 90s, early 2000s when there was so many startups happening and Yahoo and all the search
Mm-hmm.
engines, and DoubleClick was a company. We sold 100 like websites, all different categories. So that was
Yeah.
my job. And, there was other, of course, salespeople, and the company grew from like 20 people. I was maybe employee number 20 something, and it grew to like
Mm-hmm.
1,000. And
Yes.
then when the internet bubble burst in like 2001, when all the stocks plummeted and this and that, I was so happy that I invested my money in real estate. What
Oh,
I
yes.
invested it, and when people were telling me not to, I'm glad I did because stocks are very volatile. And I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
no financial wizard with stocks, bonds, and all that, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that for me. I
Yes.
pay them. But basically, they were like, wow, you did a great thing. You invested in real estate when everything, when it was high, and when it tanked, there
Yeah.
was nothing left for people. So that was a little bit of a pivot. But
Yeah.
so after DoubleClick, I went on to like US News. I worked at CNN. I worked at a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
other startups. And then fast forward, I kind of got out of the corporate world and was doing some consulting
Mm-hmm.
for a couple different companies in doing like business development and digital ad sales. And then a friend of mine who I worked with at DoubleClick, and we became friends we're friends about over 20 years now. And, he was doing some consulting, and, and my boyfriend's like, why don't you start a business with one of your ex DoubleClick colleagues? And I'm like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. And, I thought about doing it on my own. So he kind of approached me and he says, do you want to start a business, like a digital marketing business, like an
Mm-hmm.
agency for small businesses, small to
Mm-hmm.
mid-sized businesses? So I kind of kicked around the idea. I was kind of done with consulting. So was he. And another thing about research, we did our research. We talked to other people doing what we were doing, starting agencies for small to mid-sized businesses, digitally.
Mm-hmm.
We did our research with that. We talked to another company that was going to support us and do kind of our back end work,
Mm-hmm.
just gathering information and saying like, can we do this? Is it
Mm-hmm.
feasible? And then also we're good friends. So, sometimes you go into business with good friends, it ruins friendship, ruin the
Mm-hmm.
friendship, but we're very like organized and buttoned up, and we don't want that to happen, obviously. So
Yes.
we decided after, few months of research to do it. And,
Mm-hmm.
we got a lawyer, we started an LLC, we built a website, we got our email, we registered
Mm-hmm.
the domain, and, we did everything in like step by step to get this business started. Like we didn't skimp on anything. I mean, we have a contract that spells out everything that the business, what can happen in the business. Say he wants to get out, say I want to get out, say he wants to do less work, I want to do less work. Say, somebody dies and, his wife gets the business or my boyfriend gets the business, or like we every scenario is in there. So there's no questions. And it's 50-50 partnership. And we divvy up the work. And when he goes away, I'm here, on vacation. He's on vacation, I'm here, or, he's here when I'm away. So it's a really great partnership that we started, and we started it last year, and it's going pretty well so far. We have a good chance, and we know it's going to take, a couple of years to build up, and we're very realistic about it. And, hopefully it works. And if it doesn't, we'll do something else. I mean, it's like, that's how I'm approaching this. I'm not like, oh my God, if it fails, oh, I'm a failure. I'm like, I don't worry about that. Like, if you haven't failed or been laid off, you never really learn much. You're skating along, and like, some people have, not many lately these days, but some people have a job at one company for 40 years and they retire. I'm not saying it's terrible or whatever, but in the digital ad business, it was such a volatile thing. I mean, I've been laid off, I've quit, I've had some, crazy situations, but at the end, I hate this saying at the end of the day, but I'm not going to say it. But at present, starting this business, it feels great because, I'm the only one telling myself what to do. I mean, of course, I collaborate with my partner, which he's great. We bounce ideas off of each other, but it's our business. Like no one's, do this, do that. How come your numbers aren't up? How come you didn't go to this meeting? And like we're doing it ourselves, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah, that's great. And congratulations on the launch of Blast Marketing, because that's always really exciting, to step out and start something new. We don't always have the answers, but like you mentioned, I really don't believe in, like yourself, I think, that there's no such thing as failure unless you actually quit at something, because everything is really just a lesson. You may fail at hitting a certain goal or fail at certain things, but it's not really a failure. They're all lessons to learn about how to do something differently and keep going and whatever it may be. So I think that's all really exciting. And I know that you also mentioned, so your marketing services are for small and medium-sized businesses. Do you specialize in any particular niche, or is it any small and medium-sized business?
It's basically any small and medium-sized business. It could be a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer. It could be a florist. It could be a boutique. It could be a cleaning service. It could be a jewelry designer. It could be a pot. We have a pottery studio in New Jersey. We have a vegan restaurant in Manhattan. We have a burger establishment upstate. So it's really, it could be any small to mid-sized business that needs help either building their website. Our services are building websites, fixing websites, or building new ones. We do their SEO, their search engine optimization. So Google, when they do organic Google searches, people can find them. They get higher up in the search results. We do Google ads, and so all kinds of social media ads. We can even build their social media pages. We help them with reputation management, which is helping them get more reviews, responding to reviews. So really anything and everything that's related to digital marketing and advertising. We do. And we do it for, like my partner and I, we worked for large corporations where they're, say like Best Buy or Sephora or, any kind of large company. What would happen is they would have an ad agency, a huge ad agency, but we would nearly never deal with the clients. Once in a while we would, client and agency, but they had millions and millions of dollars to spend. So we were doing huge ad campaigns, and we're like, well, why can't we do this for the small business, for the small guy, and help them? And we can do a lot of this. We can use a lot of the same products and services for them at smaller budgets. For a couple $1,000s a month, we could really help them out. And the bottom line is they don't want to do it. They don't know how to do it. And, they don't have time. They're running their business, but they know they have to be online in some way in order to, show their clients and potential customers, here we are, we're out here, when they're searching for something on Google, they want to be high up in the results. So you click on it, you go to their website. So we're driving traffic to their website, driving traffic into their physical store if they have one. So it runs the whole gamut of doing.
Yeah.
And
And I would
them
say
out
that
there, getting them out there.
Yeah. And I was going to just say that, I'm a huge advocate for being able to hire out those expertise because, as you mentioned, that they're busy running their business and doing what they are an expert in. So, it's always best to reach out and provided that you have the resources, but being able to delegate and hire out some of those other things that you're not an expert in yourself. So if they are, running a restaurant or,
Yep.
a dry cleaning business and marketing isn't their expertise, then it's great for them to be able to hire your services so that you can work on getting them to perform better on Google searches and campaign ads and whatnot so that they can best uh, dedicate their time to running their business the best that they can. And so I also know that you are uh, highly involved in the community as well. So would you say that most of the businesses that you work with through Blast Marketing are local? I know you mentioned upstate in New
Yep.
Jersey, but would you say within the Northeast? Or again, you expand nationally?
It could be national. It could be national.
Okay.
I actually go out of my apartment and walk around and, I use these small businesses in my neighborhood. I go to them. I'm their customer and the restaurants and, whatever else. I actually go to the grocery store and buy my groceries. I don't get them delivered. I don't use
Yeah.
Amazon that much, really, honestly. To be honest with you, only
Mm-hmm.
if I find it anywhere else. I actually take yellow taxis because I feel bad for these guys that are,
Yeah.
that now Uber and Lyft are, dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And I always use yellow cabs. I rarely use Uber. Like I said, I rarely use Amazon, very, very
Mm-hmm.
rarely. So I'm all about supporting small businesses myself personally because I know the struggle that they've been going through. And also, even after COVID, some of these restaurants are still struggling to stay afloat.
Yeah.
So, we're trying, like I said, we have a couple of restaurants as clients and we're helping them, try
Mm-hmm.
to, get traction to the store, deliveries and whatnot. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
that, small businesses, really add to the community. And, if we don't want them to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I feel very strongly about that with I do it every day of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
now I could put it into a business to
Yeah.
help them.
Yeah, it's so important to keep the local economy or just the economy in general, but especially the local economy afloat by supporting them. I, love being able to support small business owners and entrepreneurs grow and expand their businesses as well. So I love
Yeah,
your
very
involvement
important.
there.
Very important.
Exactly. And, taking a little bit of a shift here, I know that again, you've accomplished so much, including running the New York City Marathon and as well
Oh yeah,
participating in
that
various
was amazing.
sports. Definitely something to have as an achievement because I've done some half marathons, never even a marathon in general yet. So that's definitely exciting. How would you say you balance your personal achievements with your professional ones?
I mean, it's kind of like you have to be dedicated to it. You have to
Yeah.
want to do it, and
Hmm.
you have to actually do it. So,
Exactly.
I you have to do the work. Like people say,
Hmm.
I want to do this and I want to do that, and
Hmm.
yeah, you could say that, but you have to actually do it and feel it in your heart to do it.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
know when I put my mind to something, I'm doing it. I'm
Hmm.
getting it done. Like the marathon, I did all the training. It's like 6 months of training.
Hmm.
It was my first one. I mean, I was doing races, to
Hmm.
prepare and things like that. And, you really have to prepare. And with anything in life, you have to do the
Hmm.
research, you have to do the work because if you don't do the work, I don't know how you could get anything done. You know,
Exactly.
get
Yeah.
someone
And
to do it for you. I mean,
I,
that's no.
yeah. And I say that too. Like, I hear so many people often say, I would like to do this or I want to do this or it would be nice to. And eventually, I'm always sharing, even with my own kids, but others as well, that eventually you just need to jump in and you need to commit because we can always be sitting on the sidelines saying we would like to be doing something, but until we commit and dedicate ourselves and show up, it's always just going to be a wish or a distant goal that's not getting achieved. So I love that.
Yeah, it's like when, when things like when people get like, I don't know, when they have an ailment, I'm not saying whatever they have, but like they just want to take a pill and it goes away. But,
Yeah.
sometimes, yes, take the pill if it's going to help you, of course, but, there's other things that go along with it. Maybe, it's getting therapy, or it's, your diet or your exercise, or, just kind of like helping in some way along the way, not just, oh yeah, this pill's going to help me, but I'm going to just do whatever I want and not really, do other work to help the cause,
Yeah.
like, like kind of like add to it in a better way, in a more healthy or uplifting way, no matter, depending on what it is. I'm just generalizing.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with you in that as well. And I think that could be an entirely other
Oh
episode
God,
later down the road, a
oh yeah,
conversation if I got started on that. Because yeah, I definitely think, with today's medicine and something you can't just add a pill and take a medicine. And like you said, yes, it can help you if it's going to help you right now, ease the symptoms or whatever it may
whatever,
be.
right.
Yes, go for it and whatever it may be. But most often there's other underlying things to that issue. So again, whether you're diet or therapy or
Whatever.
whatever it may be that needs to be taken into consideration. So you're healing that as a whole and not just putting a Band-Aid on top of it.
It's like holistic, like the
Yes,
mind, the body connection. It's there,
exactly.
and you kind of have to do the work in order to help yourself overall, because your mind and body are connected. And a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, they want the quick fix.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
All right. So, I have two more vital questions for you. One being, what are your future goals for both the real estate portfolio and blast marketing?
Well, my partner and I are growing the business. We started last year. So, of course, obtaining more clients and, helping them with more products and services, and, basically just keeping it going in the way of keeping, like I said, helping small business community, of course, small to mid-sized business community. And, that's basically the goal there. We're, funding it ourselves and, doing it ourselves. We're not asking for investors at this moment. I'm not sure we're going to go there, but at this moment, that it's growing the business, acquiring more clients and being able to help them be successful, because, their success is, I mean, it might be a cliche, but their success is our success. So we want to see the small business, we want to see them growing and, new clients, whatever their goal is, pretty
Yeah,
much.
definitely.
And for
And
real estate, I mean, right now I'm pretty good right now. So who knows? I mean, I
yeah.
was going to invest in a condo in Montauk out in Long Island
Oh, yeah.
a few years
Very
ago,
beautiful.
but my gut was telling me it's not the right time. So
Mm-hmm.
that could be maybe my next thing. But
Mm-hmm.
for now, we love going out there. My boyfriend's a surfer, so it's like a great
Oh, yeah.
surfing community out there. And, we'll just rent a hotel and chill out and come home.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And lastly, if you can give one piece of advice to our listeners, what would it be?
I would say don't be afraid. I know a lot of women, they think they don't have a voice and that, oh, I can't speak up at a meeting, or I can't do this, I can't do that. And, people make fun of me and this, that. Just basically learn, ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, you're never going to learn. And knowledge is power. So the more you know and the more you ask and do will give you more of the guts to move forward and either make that investment or change your job, or have a different type of career. Some of these things are scary, of course, but if you do the research and you talk to people, and I'm a mentor to women coming up in the digital advertising business and marketing. I want to mentor them because I didn't have a mentor, but I have all this knowledge that I learned that yes, I will be a mentor, and I'll help people. They have asked me for advice. I'll do a call with them. I like that because you never know what you can get from it. Not that I'm expecting anything in return, but if you show that you want to help people, it's always a good thing. And I never really expect anything in return. It's like something that like goes viral or whatever. But women shouldn't be afraid, mostly, I'm speaking for women mostly, or it could be anyone, to speak up, learn, ask questions, and do your research.
Yeah, I
And then
love that.
make your decisions. And another important thing is always listen to your gut, because if something isn't right and your body feels it and your mind feels it and you're feeling it's not right, maybe you shouldn't do it. I mean, after doing the research and whatnot, because people say, "Oh, feel the fear and do it anyway." Well, it's a fine line of what fear is. You know, just saying, "Oh, I want to start a business. This is fun," and you don't do any research. I'd be afraid of that.
Yes.
You know, if you do your research, ask the questions and whatnot, and you're prepared, and you have a little, apprehensive, but you're ready to go, then just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Sort of
great.
like what is it, the Nike commercial? Just do it.
Yes, just do it.
So,
I love
not
that.
without
That's
research.
great advice.
Not without research.
Great advice.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, where can they find you?
You can find me on my website, blastmarketingagency.com. I also, my Instagram is just my last name @Osgerchian. So that's another easy way to find me. And you could always, like I said, get to me through the website, blastmarketingagency.com.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll be sure to include all your information and ways of contacting you within the show notes, so everyone will be able to find you easily. And overall, I want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your incredible journey and insights both on real estate and on marketing. It's inspiring to hear your success story overall. And for our listeners, if you want to learn more about Diane's work and connect with her, reach out to her on the methods below in the show notes on her website and on Instagram. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in to Grit, Grace, and Growth. And until next time, keep growing and thriving. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And feel free to reach out. And if you have any questions about anything, I'm around. I'm here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye-bye.